So it was done like really randomly. Okay, well we worked with like DC public schools, and so what we were doing for them was actually like a training component where because DC has a lot of, I guess, underprivileged neighborhoods and people come from like troubled backgrounds. And so this was one of the charter schools or public schools where a lot of these kids didn't really know, like their parents didn't work as we know it. And so they didn't really see a future in anything. So the school wanted to provide them with training and kind of university counseling, which is something that I guess a lot of us take for granted because that's kind of just the next step that we're going to take. And so what our consultancy did for them was go into their school and kind of see the way they work with the kids, and then kind of construct a curriculum and build or train the team that was going to then work with the kids to give them, I guess, build internship opportunity networks and university counseling services. So that's, I guess, more on the operations side and kind of going in and seeing, you know, how they can add to their existing, what they were doing, teaching the kids, but also giving them a future to look forward to. But then, yes.
How would you say the needs of a 2-3 person outfit differ from the needs of, say, a big corporate?
Yeah, you just have to recognize that what they have to give may not be a lot of money or, you know, huge manpower going to like clean HDB flats. It's really what can they offer day to day, as in taking someone in to train them for, you know, they might need more advice or convincing, I guess, that, you know, CSR is something that they can do that would benefit them, and I guess a way to put it is that society or the community around them will see them in a positive light also, because I guess you have to structure it differently if you're trying to talk to somebody who may not really buy into the whole CSR thing yet. Like, they have to understand first why they're doing this, why it's good, and maybe like market it to them before they're marketing themselves and their CSR.
If I'm not wrong, I believe you also provided them legal support.
Yeah.
Accounting support, was it? Strategic planning as well.
Yeah.
So it was to take a strategic direction and tailor it to these micro enterprises. Is there other stuff?
I guess also just the network that is formed, you know, because like you have kind of you are their outlet to all these opportunities because they may not know that these opportunities exist. And so that's kind of what we did. We would like link this, maybe like this social enterprise with another social enterprise that we saw were doing pretty much the same thing, so there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And so I think that's something here that is of worth to note, that it's really the network and kind of building that a database of sorts that it keeps growing and you just keep linking up people, and that's.
Thank you.
Just two questions. For micro enterprises, the attrition rate is usually very high.
In terms of what?
I mean, they can't survive, especially in Singapore.
Yeah.
You know, certain industry has a very high attrition rate. For example, you know, the restaurants association, the restaurants industry in Singapore. You know, you have everybody want to set up their own, want to be their own boss, and so they set up a restaurant, a very low barrel, low entry barrel business. But the attrition rate becomes, you know, very high. So if you help these people, then how do you select? Because if you select the wrong ones, you know, you probably have, you know, maybe 20-30% of those people you're trying to help, you know, folding up in less than 1-2 years, for example. So how do you go about selecting? And you don't charge them, right? You only charge selected ones who operate outside, you know, that Georgetown, right? Now, then how do you fund yourself?
So, I guess I'll answer the second question first. Because it was a student-run organization, I guess we had access to funds from the school, and everybody who was doing the work was doing the work because they wanted to do it. Even
So they're not paid in a way?
Exactly. No, nobody got paid. Lawyers were not paid. Nobody got paid. That's the thing. And that's, I guess, kind of why our model worked. And anything that needed funding would then, that's another thing that we did, was that we wrote applications for grants for people who could not, didn't have the knowledge to write their own grant applications. So that's something that we helped them with. So to get the funding that they needed to do whatever we suggested they need to do, that was kind of, yeah, we didn't fund anything as such. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, I mean, your first question on, like, retention rate,
How do you select, who you help?
yeah, so I mean, what we were doing was consulting for social enterprises.
Okay.
And so we went out to look for them, but they also came to look for us. And they would then go through and they would pitch their venture to us. So they were either an existing venture or somebody with an idea, and they wanted to kind of test the waters and see whether they think it's a viable, or we think it would be viable to go into that. And so, I mean, we saw ventures die off, I guess. And so, I mean, it's only natural, but I see where you're coming from, where this is obviously bigger corporations, and you're putting in funding and more, human capital and everything, so you have to select them more carefully, yeah. I mean, how do you foresee your kind of process of picking?
In fact, I don't think for a start, the SBF Foundation will look at smaller companies.
Yeah.
For two key reasons. One is, as I mentioned, in our membership is actually the larger SMEs. Of course, we won't just want to confine to just our own members. But the next tier would be the natural group to target, to have that multiplier effect. And two is to look at the micro, SMEs. I think that micro enterprises companies would be very challenging because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
The reach, itself is a challenge. And then of course, then you balance also, the reach and plus the impact. So to me, I don't think for a start, for at least the SBF Foundation, the smaller companies would be the way to go, because resource-wise and also the impact-wise may not make sense, at least for a start. Yeah.